Hey guys, what is up? It is the Fast Break Report here, bringing you guys another vlog, and well, we got something to talk about because it is league-wide. It is not just with the Pacers, it's not with a specific player. Something has happened league-wide that is changing scoring in the NBA, and I kind of want to talk about it. So, in case you guys don't know, since the All-Star break, offensive scoring output in the NBA is down. You might be asking how this is possible. Well, it's no secret that Adam Silver, after the All-Star game, had a look of disdain on his face after the Eastern All-Stars managed to score 200 plus points. And in total, the game had 397 points scored. It was one three-pointer short of 400, okay? Which is fucking unfathomable to think about, you know, because like I grew up watching the NBA in like the early 2000s, you know, the 2010s, like 200 points being scored in the All-Star game was always something that like we knew was coming, but we didn't know that like a team would, you know, score 212. Like it was one of those things that was like if somebody scored 200, it would be like one team just absolutely goes off and scores like, you know, maybe 201, 202, 205 at the max. But the idea that a team scored like 212, I think, I don't remember what the final score is, but I know it was like pretty significant. The idea that a team scored over 200 points and like by a significant margin, I feel, really like made Adam Silver go, you know, like back in the lab, so to speak, on defense in the NBA and how it's played. Well, since that happened, right, the NBA has decided that they're just going to stop calling offensive contact fouls on the defender. You know, James Harden really revolutionized the game with the step back three and the idea that you could just go to the basket and hook an arm, and now everybody does it, right? Like they saw James Harden win a scoring title just hitting step back threes and conning guys into fucking fouls going into the basket. And I'm gonna call it that because honestly, I knew when James Harden started doing that I'm like, okay, everyone's gonna start doing it. And sure enough, that's what happens. Joel Embiid fucking does it. DeMar DeRozan does it. Yeah, like Luka Doncic does it. Trae Young does it. Every player in the fucking league does it. Ever since James Harden did it in 2017, 2018, like that 4-year window from like, I would say actually like a 3-year window from like 2017 to like 2020. Ever since James Harden started doing that shit, suddenly everyone and their mother does it. And when you have everyone and their mother doing it, sure enough, guys are going to come out and shoot 24 free throws a game or 15 free throws a game, right? It got to a point in the NBA where like guys like Joel Embiid are getting the title the free throw merchant because he shoots 24 fucking free throws a game. You know, and we've seen how it affects scoring output. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, like guys are scoring 70-point games. You know, they're putting up 70-point games, and 24 of their fucking points are coming from free throws. So Adam Silver's cracked down on it. You know, we actually had the lowest scoring game in 8 years a couple weeks ago between the Knicks and the 76ers. I think it was last week. And it was like 79-73. And you still get your occasional games where guys, you know, teams will score 126, 135. You know, you still get those games, but it's not happening anywhere near at the same consistency that it was pre-All-Star break. Now, I understand that Adam Silver is looking to crack down on defense. In fact, I really started thinking a lot about this when I saw the Pacers play the Chicago Bulls. And the game was coming down to the wire, and DeMar DeRozan had a foul called on him because he wrapped up Aaron Nesmith's arm on a layup or a shot, and Rick Carlisle actually challenged it. And believe it or not, the call got overturned. Aaron Nesmith didn't get the foul. It was actually an offensive foul on DeMar DeRozan, and I was shocked. I was like, wow. I'm like, that doesn't happen all the fucking time. Like, that's not something that regularly happens in the NBA. Usually, if a guy goes to the basket and wraps up an arm of the defender and just throws the ball at the basket, it's an automatic 2 free throws. But the league has stopped doing that. And because of that, and all of a sudden, guys are now realizing, like Giannis and DeMar DeRozan, even DeMar DeRozan's been on a fucking tear recently, but DeRozan, Giannis, if Embiid were in the league right now, he would not be happy. But Luka Doncic is realizing he's not getting foul calls anymore. Trae Young, Trae Young's not even playing, but you get what I'm saying. You know, like all the guys that would normally be drawing fouls and getting to the free throw line all the fucking time, are realizing that that's not happening anymore. Suddenly, they're not shooting, anywhere from 12 to 15 free throws a game anymore. Suddenly it's like you're going to get 7 or 8 of them and you're going to fucking like it. I will say this. I'm all for any rule change that makes it so I don't got to watch guys shoot a million free throws a game. Okay? I'm all for that. I get that, like, everybody does want to see guys score a shit ton of points. Like, there are people out there that want to see guys score a shit ton of points. But I personally would like to see a more competitive basketball game. Right? And that's what this is trying to do, and it's working. I have a feeling defensive 3 seconds will be gone next year. That's just something I think, because Luka Doncic said that would, like, he's the guy in the league that is just arguably the best scorer. I think the best scorer in the league right now, and when he says something like that, I think Adam Silver adheres to it, and will be like, okay. We can bring back defensive 3 seconds. But that's a drastic rule change that I don't think will happen until next season. I think a rule change like that mid-season would just fuck too many things up. I think it would be too big of a change for teams to get used to with less than 15 games remaining in the season. I also think it's kind of unfair that you got teams going for playoff runs and you decide to make a rule change mid-season. And even with this whole free throw foul change that they're doing, where, like, the offensive player initiating contact and not getting the call anymore, while I understand why Adam Silver and the league are doing it, this is a rule change I would have liked to have seen next year, because we're in the dog days of the NBA season where it's like teams are really trying to make a push for the playoffs, or some teams are even tanking. We're at that point now where it's like guys are competing for playoff spots, or guys are competing for draft picks, and I think a rule change mid-season is just unfair to the players. That's all I'm saying. Like, I understand why this rule change exists, and I understand why they did it mid-season, because it is a rule change, but it's not like, I don't know if it's a drastic rule change. It's not something that, like, completely fundamentally changes the way you play the game. It just means that, like, when you go to the basket, like, if you're going to get fouled, you better legitimately get fouled. It's not one of those things where, like, you can just go to the basket, wrap up an arm, and throw the ball at the basket and get free throws. Like, they're doing that, and I think that's not as serious as doing something like, bringing back, eliminating defensive 3 seconds mid-season. I think that's a drastic rule change. So, I all I'm saying is, like, I like it. It's made games a little bit more fun to watch. I feel like it's made basketball games a little more competitive. It feels like games come down to the wire a little bit more. You're seeing guys less and less just get away with, going to the free throw line. Like one of the things that, like, irritates me about Luka Doncic and Joel Embiid is, like, there are guys, and even Giannis, it's like they're guys that it's like whenever they go to the basket, if you even touch them, right, it's a foul. But this rule change makes it so, like, that doesn't happen. Like, for example, like the Luka Doncic bitching is probably going to be at an all-time high, but it's just the idea. It makes the game a little bit more fun to watch. It makes the game more bearable, and I'm for it. I know there's people that are maybe going to disagree with that, and that's fine, but I like rule changes that make the games more competitive and not just cater to the guys that are great at, conning the defense into a foul. Like, it to me, it seems like bullshit when you put your arms out, right, to play defense, and a guy goes by you and he uses his off arm to, like, wrap up this arm that you have playing defense, and then throws the ball at the basket, and suddenly you're walking to the free throw line with 2 free throws, and you get a foul for something that was beyond really your control. Unless you're going to stand there on defense and just do this the whole fucking time so they can't, grab your arm. And the idea that we saw that with the Aaron Nesmith, DeMar DeRozan foul where the call got overturned, like guys are realizing now that they can't do that anymore. Suddenly the league is not just catering to star players and giving them free throws. Now granted, do I think this will return at some point? Yes. I feel like at some point in time they're just going to slowly ease back into giving superstar players the benefit of the doubt when going to the basket and giving them, getting them to the free throw line so they can score their astronomical amounts of points. Because let's be honest, nobody wants to never see a guy score 60 or 70 points again, but it's just the idea that the frequency at which it happens is at the all-time high right now, and it used to never happen. I can't, when Devin Booker scored 70 points, I think against the Celtics, that was the first time anybody had scored that many points since Kobe, since Kobe scored 82. And now it's gotten to a point where it's all the fucking time. Now it's if a guy scores 40 or 50 points, it's no longer a huge feat. Now it's if a guy scores 60 or 70, we're getting to a point now where even that, it's scoring 70 points happens 2 or 3 times a season. And Adam Silver realizes it's an issue. Adam Silver realizes that defense has become pitiful, and he's trying to give some leeway back to defensive players, and I appreciate that personally. I think that's great. I think because honestly, we've lived in an NBA for a while now, since 2018. That was when the last rule change was. I think it was the freedom of movement change was 2018. That rule change was in 2018. We've had, a good run now, a good 6 years now, where we've seen guys just do whatever the fuck they want on offense. And I think not only is the league getting tired of seeing it, but fans are getting tired of seeing it. So anything that makes it so the game is more fun to watch, more competitive, and at least lets the defensive player play fucking defense, I'm fine with it. I am perfectly fine with it. I know there's going to be people who bitch about the refs and bitch about this and bitch about that, but it would be nice to just see the league maybe go back to that early 2000s approach, where it's you're not going to the free throw line unless you legitimately got fouled. I would actually like to see the league get rid of touch fouls, if I'm being honest with you, where it's a guy shoots a shot, and because you grazed their wrist here or whatever, it's a foul. There's certain things that I'm just I don't feel like you should get a foul just because you touch a guy. Right? To me, that's kind of stupid, because that's not the way anybody plays at the fucking park. You know what I'm saying? If you go play pickup ball, nobody calls a foul unless you get whacked on the fucking arm. One of these, okay, when you shoot one of these, okay, that's not a foul. But if you shoot and somebody whacks you, right? Suddenly I'm okay, I understand, or you're shooting and somebody whacks down your shooting hand, okay, on defense, I could understand that being a foul. But these stupid, he touched his hand after the shot was released, shit like that, I think those are bullshit fouls. That's just my opinion. But tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on this. Helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more. I'm the Fast Break Report, and I'm out of this motherfucker. Peace, guys.